You can pivot on a dime when you need to. It's challenging because whatever happened to you, that's changed you forever. You have to learn how to recalibrate and re-navigate. Managing loss, that's extremely hard. Learn how to turn your loss to your advantage by subscribing to the YouTube channel at Empowerment 0108. Like the video and don't forget to ring the bell. Remember that loss can't be avoided, but debilitating negative attitudes that'll keep you focused on the loss instead of appreciating the time you had with the person you lost. Now you end up dwelling on the fact that they're no longer here instead of how they contributed to your life. I know that it's hard, but when you learn how to shift your perspective, you're going to realize you got this. I had a video concept in mind, but I abandoned it when I got this news that my mother had died this morning. I mean, I literally just began starting the video, but it forced my plans to change. I had to be okay with the challenges that were associated with that change. Plans change and you can either be upset over it or you can pivot to accommodate the newness of the circumstance. I made that decision to incorporate my pain with my purpose of grief empowerment. This fusion, it actually inspired me to create this video here. My mother's death was extremely bitter because nobody wants to lose their mom. It was also sweet though, because she was no longer in pain. My mom had been suffering with breast cancer for 4 years prior to this morning. I just went down to see her yesterday. She was frail. She was a tired woman. Now, I have to use her loss as a fuel to manage my forward progress. It sounds kind of selfish, but in reality, it's what she would have wanted for me. She loved me too much to allow me to feel that she's the cause of any stagnation that I have. You have to see your losses this way. It helps for you to shift your mind from focusing on loss to appreciating the time you had with the person. Now, the mourning period, that's going to be long. But at some point, I'm going to convert this grief into a fuel. It's never an overnight process. The loss of a loved one, it takes time. So you got to take all the time you need. Grief based on death, it's already a traumatic experience. But when it's coupled with someone you love dearly, that mourning period can be a lot longer and much more complex. Don't stress the timelines that any other people put on you or expectations of you getting over your loss. And the pain that's related to the grief emotions, that has to travel through the psyche accordingly. Your mourning doesn't reflect the way others would expect you to. Mourning and grief, they're like fingerprints. David Kessler wrote, "Everybody processes loss differently." Back to the planning portion. You have all the plans mapped out the way you believe that they should go. But understand that seasons do change. And there's always going to be a monkey wrench that's sure to change the trajectory of the plan that you have. And use logic as opposed to feelings to meet your goal. That's critical. Our feelings will offer reasons for us to be upset at change, it does not address that monkey wrench factor. There are a few ways to clear your mind and focus on how best to process the losses you go through. These are some things that I personally did. I took a moment to myself. I chose to sit and meditate for a few minutes and allow the wave of emotions to come. And instead of resisting and fighting, I decided to feel those emotions and let them in. I used a breathing technique where I breathed in, held it for about 7 seconds, then let it go for about 8 seconds. And I did that repeatedly because I needed to regulate my mind. I needed to regulate my breathing. I was in fight or flight mode. And that's what most people are in when they experience a grief-related situation. The mind, the brain, wants to protect you. So it's going to do things like constrict your breathing, condense your muscles, expand energy. It's almost like you're moving without consciously moving. But that's when you need to take a moment. Step back. Sit down for a second. Breathe. Take a moment to yourself. You can meditate, you can pray, or you can just sit down. But what you have to understand is that the brain is attempting to do everything that it needs to do to keep you safe. You have to be the person to override that feeling. Like I said, a couple of ways that you could do it. Take a second to yourself. Breathe a little bit. It seems simple, but it's a reality because you are now taking control of your brain functions and you're controlling your mind. So when your mind is telling you one thing, you're making that conscious decision by using your logic to say, I need to address this. I need to do this. This has happened. So now I need to be able to better address it properly. Another thing I decided to do, I decided to memorialize my mother. I did it really simply. I just sent a couple of posts on Facebook. I wrote some things in my journal because this was my way of being able to honor my mother, to let her know that I've been thinking about her. And there are so many people out there that are mourning over your loss. The last thing I decided to do, and this is something I recommend to a lot of people, just take the time, find some meaning in the loss. You can't change what's happened, but you can change how you see it. Perspective, it matters here. The cycle of life, that's a reality. The issue with humans is that because the when and the how, they're a mystery. And that's the reason why we feel surprised when it happens. Very often, we just don't want to believe that it's happening, even though it is. But if we're blessed, we actually get between 70 and 100 years. During that time, you do have a particular plan that you're trying to work out, but there are going to be some unexpected drawbacks. Learn the value of those challenges and those drawbacks that actually strengthen you. Understand that you don't have long. So you have to formulate a plan in a relative time frame. Like I said before, perspective matters. How you see it, that's how it's going to be. The cycle of life it oftentimes appears very mean and unfair. We do know that all things end, but it's the end that's the challenge. We don't know the when, and we don't know the how. Those two factors help to create the grief and the anxiety that comes along with experiencing a personal tragedy. In my case, the death of my mother. The point that I want to address, the cycle of life, it appears to be mean and unfair. But truly, it's not. We know that all things have to end, but it's the end that's usually the challenge. We don't know the when and we don't know the how. So our grief and our anxiety plays on that. Subscribe to learn more about the grief empowerment theory and how it'll help you transform that grief that you're feeling into a gift. Extract the lessons from the loss. For example, my lesson was that change can happen instantly, and you have to be prepared to address it. Believe in yourself and know that you got this.